Welcome to People Human Rights, People Human Rights 2020.com. I am Olga. This is our 18th video, and we will be talking about the attitudes to have if we want to have victory. When we want to get rid of a burden, we need to throw away this burden. Usually, it's by talking about it or by committing an action which will lead to the path of relief. For example, a little child who is victim of incest. If he doesn't talk, it's difficult to know. That's why for the children, the parents or the adults needs to check regularly the genitals of the children. Because by the time the child starts to talk and to say, I feel pain, that means that he has been actually already very hurt. About the ladies, God will never punish you if you defend yourself against a rapist or proxenate or whatever the method you use. Because this situation will end taking care of itself. And then let's talk about this. The slavers, those who were enslaving people. And, for example, in the 18th century, they are not alive anymore. But slavery continues till today. Why? Even if they change names, but it's still the same. Okay? They say modern slavery, they say whatsoever. It is slavery. They act differently. There was colonialism, now it is neo-colonialism. It's always the same, it's just the name which changed and some methods. But the behavior, the mental, the wickedness is the same. Why? Because those who commit those things today have inherited it from their ancestors. And they have access to their own story, to their own history. Yeah. They know who they are. They know their culture. They have their identity, they have access to their identity. And they teach racism to their children. They teach their children to hate this race or these people. They prepare their children mentally to oppress the others. So it's a way, it's a behavior, it's a way of life for them. From one generation to another. There's a Bible verse who says that God can punish till the seventh generation, because for something very bad to be wiped off, sometimes it needs 7 generations. So even if today God gives you victory, you need to remain vigilant for at least 7 generations. Never forget that David could David had victory over Goliath. Yeah. How did he manage? David didn't have weapons. And at first sight, it was impossible. Even the king was frightened when David said to him, I will go and I will beat Goliath. David was like an insect in front of Goliath. Goliath was a giant, Nephilim, a horrible person, weak, full of wickedness, and very protected. You know, he has his armor, everything he had, his weapons. He was supposed, at first sight, he was invincible. But what did David do? Because God didn't give weapons to David, but God gave David intelligence and experience so that he could have victory upon Goliath. God trained David. When David was with his sheep, he had to defend his sheep, his flock sheep. He had to defend them against wolves, against lions, against all sorts. against bears, all sorts of terrifying animals. And he did that. First, David was not afraid of Goliath. And second, David knew who he was. And he said, no, this thing is too big. I need to bring it back to my level. I need to make him fall first. So David managed with his little, he threw a stone on Goliath, and he knew where he has to throw the stone, and Goliath fell down. Now Goliath fell down, even if David was a little, now he has the possibility to exterminate Goliath. And you can read the story of David and Goliath in 1 Samuel 17. So, because what can happen if you don't fight to be free is much more dangerous and evil than what can happen if you fight for freedom. Because in both cases, death is possible. In both cases. That's not because you do what the enemy wants you to do. That means that the enemy will not kill you. It's better so dying while fighting than dying at the mercy of your enemy. So, and don't forget that there are also the holy angels. They are there. They have their own battles. But they bring us victory also. But in order to get victory, you need to be acting, to commit your actions, Otherwise, they can't give you victory. For example, if you don't sit an exam, you don't sit for an exam, you don't go at the examination center, you don't sit for your exam, how can you have that exam? How can you pass the exam? It's not possible. So if you want victory, you need to fight, to be fighting. And God will give you victory. So, and whatever is the enemy, whatever his force, whatever his weapons, God is bigger than that. In verse 68, because they've got also submarines, things, they do so much things at the bottom of the sea. They, plus the other things that are on the sea, in the sea. And but what does Psalm 68 says? Psalm 68 verse 22 says, No, verse 23 says, um, let me do that in another. The Lord said, I will bring them. I will bring the enemy back from Bashan. I will bring them back from the deepest parts of the sea, so that, etc., etc. You cannot hide before God. God sees everything. You cannot hide from God. God sees everything. God knows everything. And God has power. And another thing, we are these times, since many years, but this century, these times, we hear about imperialists or people buying forests in the human motherlands. They buy forests in Africa. Whatsoever they say it is for. Why are they buying forests? For example, if they bring all their weapons, their ships, or anything, and they hide it in the forest. But the thing is that in Africa, there are people living in those forests. What is their fate? Are they exterminated? Are they becoming slaves? Are they building town there in the forest for the others to live there, to bring their people? What? And why suddenly? You know, those things happen gradually. But suddenly there's no more visors, no more, and everything is online. Online there is many frauds. It's easier to fraud online than to fraud when you give your papers in an embassy, or there's more control, you know. Anyway, God has victory about all these plans also. There's something also, if you at the deepest of your misery, at the deepest of your pain, you cry out to the Lord, and the Lord responded to you. Let God take care of your enemies, Don't start to pray for them, because God will not like that. God knows how to punish your enemies, and He knows why. Because if you have just a part of their behavior, God knows all their behavior, all that is hidden from you. God knows that. And God is just, is a God of justice. So, you can read 2 Esdras 7, verse 59. In any case, an angry people changes history. So, there are two things I would like to talk about also. The spirits, when a spirit has the capacity to take the shape he wants, to appear to you, whether as a human or in another way. All this is to so that you can recognize them and communicate with them. So even dead people, the departed, when they appear to someone, they appear as the person knows them. They appear same way they were when they were alive. Sometimes they appear in the same clothes, but they are not alive anymore. They are just immaterial spirits. So when people describe, for example, the prophets or the people who pray a lot, they see God, they describe God. That's how God appeared to them. If they see God so like a man, with the description, you can see that in Revelation 1, from verse 14, Revelation 1, he is like this, he is like that, here there's the throne is like this, the throne is like that. That's how God appears to people. So, and God is the first living spirit. So, which means that either God is like that, or either God wants you to see Him like that. So it is very important, and it is to take into consideration. God is like that. God show Himself this way. That's all you need. So then also, you don't need to wait for people or too many people before doing what you have to do. because everyone doesn't have the same mission. Everyone, if it is the same mission as you, it may not be at the same time as yours, or it may not be just at the beginning with you, or maybe the duration of this mission is different of yours. And some mission depends on your mission, because it's like signals. Your mission gives signals, and some people, God have prepared them to be receptive of those signals. For their mission to start. So people need just to do, everyone must just do what he has to do at the time he has to do it. God will take care of the rest, because if a message is destined to someone, that person will receive that message. Okay? And if the person in her mission has to join you, the person will join you. God will make that happen. Or maybe the person has to do that mission somewhere else with other people, but it will be a signal for that person what you do, because they are also very small mission, little mission. They are medium mission. They are very big and very long missions, because this fight in which we are is God's fight. We are God's instruments. So, and God himself acts, often through his angels, and he has his time to make things, because he has to coordinate, to harmonize everything and everyone. For example, you can read 1 Kings 19 verse 18 or Romans 11 verse 4, where God says, no, I have people. I have reserved people to myself. Everything doesn't happen at the same time. So let's read 1 Kings 19. Verse 18. Yet I reserved 7,000 in Israel, all the knees of which have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth which has not kissed him. So, this is the end of this video. See you at the next video. Bye.